Raleigh St. Louis and the startup community in the Gateway City. That story next on City Corner. Potter, and welcome to City Corner. Rally St. Louis is a nonprofit organization that works to promote the city as a great place to do business and a great place to live. That's our topic today. Let's welcome our guests. We have Carrie Hutchcraft from the Magic House and Brian Cross, who is a co-founder of Rally St. Louis. Welcome to the program, both of you.
Thank you, Steve.
Brian, tell me about you and Aaron Perlett. You both, I guess, work together in public relations in St. Louis?
Yes. We have an agency, Elasticity, here in St. Louis. And we do a lot of work with a lot of St. Louis entrepreneurs, and we do a lot of work with some of the civic groups here in St. Louis. And we wanted a way to do something beyond just our client work, and both of us have kids here in St. Louis, and we wanted to make St. Louis a better place. We wanted to do more.
Well, you both originally worked for a big PR firm, right?
We did. We both came out of Fleischman Hillard, who's one of the largest PR firms and headquartered here in St. Louis. Great firm.
So what made you decide you wanted to go out on your own?
We had some ideas, and like anything, when you're entrepreneurial and want to break out, we decided that we wanted to give our ideas a try. So we got some funding, theme of this show. Ourselves, entrepreneurs, stepped out and created our firm about 5 years ago. We've been growing steadily and having a good time.
And then Rally St. Louis came out of that.
Rally St. Louis came out of that. So a couple years ago, my partner Aaron wrote a story in Forbes entitled "St. Louis Doesn't Suck," and very provocative title indeed. But it got the attention of a lot of folks, because at the end of the day, what it was saying was, hey, St. Louis gets a bad rap, whether you want to call it a flyover city, or there's no jobs, or there's no money for startups, or enter any sort of gripe or beef that you have with the city. And the article outlined, it doesn't suck. Look at all these great things we have. And we went beyond some of the standards: lower cost of living, lower traffic, and things like, great zoo, great Magic House, and cultural institutions. And we talked about other things. We talked about some of the great neighborhoods. We talked about some of the up-and-coming things that people may not know that help make this a great city. And in the end, we put a plan in there to say, here's a way to get that message out. And a lot of people said, hey, that's fantastic. Our intention with the story was to energize other folks to get up and do it. And as a result, a lot of people said, great article, what are you doing next? Are you going to put that plan into place? And so from there we decided, well, let's create Rally St. Louis. And what Rally St. Louis was, yes, it's an idea that we created, but in actuality, what it is it's a platform to take other ideas from other people and to bring those to a more public, visibility, where people can see it and act on it, whether it be volunteer time or funds or efforts or space. And you'll hear how a lot of those came together in the Magic House example here in a few minutes.
Right. Carrie, we're going to talk about an exciting project that the Magic House is involved in a little bit later. But for those that don't know, and I have to confess to you, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, because Magic House has been around for, I think you said 35 years, you told me earlier.
35 years this year. Mm-hmm.
I have never been there. I mean, I've read countless things about it. I know about it. I've seen photographs. I've seen things on TV, but I've never been there. So bring me up to snuff.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly have to get you out there for sure. We actually opened our doors almost 35 years ago. We started as a 5,000 square foot children's museum, and over the years we've grown to over 55,000 square feet. So we've really grown physically as well as just in what we're doing with the exhibits that we're creating, both to happen in-house, and now these new ones that will be at the airport, which we'll tell you a little bit about. But just overall, it's a place where kids can come and have fun.
A lot of interactive things.
A lot of interactive. It's all hands-on. But while they're there having fun, they're also learning. And so it's really, taking that experience and making it a little bit more than just coming and playing for the day. It's learning something too.
Is there a story to the building itself?
The building is over 100 years old. It actually, well, the initial part of the building is over 100 years old, and it was part of the Edwards family, sort of this historic Victorian mansion in Kirkwood, and that building is still there, and we've obviously added to it, but we haven't changed too much in that original building, so you can kind of tell what's that original building when you walk through, and it's the smaller hallways and the smaller rooms. And that's where, if you've seen our iconic hair on end with our electrostatic generator, that's actually housed in the original part of the building on our 3rd floor there.
Well, a little bit later, we're going to be talking about an exciting new thing you're doing at Lambert Airport, which you mentioned before. I read an interesting article. I guess it's about 2 years old. Rally's been around about 2 years, right?
Just actually a little over a year. We started November of, 2012.
Right. There's an interesting article in the New York Times about 2 years ago, I guess right when you and Aaron first kicked things off.
Yes.
How do you get national attention like that?
Back to our agency. Our roots at Fleischman and a PR agency, and we know some people in the press. And so, yeah, we pitched Stuart Elliott at the New York Times, and he did a wonderful article for us.
Well, let's explain this for people that may not have a good idea about like crowdsourcing, crowdfunding. It's a term a lot of people hear, but it's a relatively new concept.
I'll actually disagree with you on your own show
Like
here.
I said, it's been around for a long time.
It's been around for a long time. No, honestly, crowdsourcing is nothing more than gathering ideas from a large group of people. It tends to be considered a new term because we do this over the internet and in social media and things like that now, but it's no different than a focus group or asking a large group of people for ideas. Crowdfunding is the same thing. It's asking for small amounts of money from a large group of people. So, we all go to church on Sunday and put our money in the hat. That's crowdfunding. That's asking for $1 or $2 or $5 from a large group of people, and over time that builds up to do a larger goal.
Okay, and I guess I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
But the whole fact of like being on the internet and getting people to fund your own personal project, that's sort of the new aspect of it, though.
Absolutely. So instead of being restricted to just the amount of pews you have in the church, now you have all of your networks and social media and the entirety of the internet to go out there and then make it nice and easy with an e-commerce transaction.
But there's a lot of competition, isn't there? I mean, it can't be too easy. If I have some idea and just get on the internet, does that mean people are just going to send me money?
No. A lot of people think that because crowdfunding is a new term, and you hear these fantastic, success stories out there of all these people raising all this money, but in actuality, a very small amount actually hit their goal. It takes a lot of publicity. It takes a lot of pushing. It takes a lot of large networks, passing around. And at the end of the day, regardless of all the tools, it has to be a good idea. Yeah. The good ideas are the ones that come to fruition.
And so did that play a part in what the Magic House will be doing?
It definitely did. So the idea that was actually submitted through Rally was to have a play area at Lambert Airport. And so that way when families were traveling through or when they were waiting for their flight to board, their kids could burn off some energy before they had to sit still on that flight and then potentially have a layover somewhere else. It's, let them play before they have to just sit still again. And so for us, it really was that platform that allowed the St. Louis community and beyond to say, this is a great idea. We need to have this. It is something that these kind of ideas are in other airports across the country. There's one in O'Hare's airport, and they worked with their children's museum, for example. And so the idea isn't necessarily that it's a brand new one, but it's one that the community could say, hey, we want that.
And it's more than just having a place for kids, right? It's also like a PR tool for adults because so many people pass through the airport, and for a lot of people, that's the first impression that they have of our city.
St. Louis is just such a wonderful place for families, and we have so many, like the Magic House, we have the zoo, we have the botanical gardens. There are so many places to come and see and do for families here, and so having that in Lambert is sort of that first welcome for travelers to say, we're committed to families.
So Brian, how did this start with the Magic House, and maybe could you be more specific about the tools you used or how you got the ball rolling?
Sure. The idea was just somebody created an account on the website. They submitted the idea. And actually, let me take a step back and kind of explain the website real briefly. It's a website where anybody can come and submit any idea. For instance, one of the ideas out right now is that somebody was in another city and they saw crosswalks, but instead of just the bars, they were branded. They were branded with other great things in the city, and it helped cross-promote things within the city. So someone says, hey, that's a really great idea. They can come to Rally and say, I think St. Louis should have one of these. And they put that idea up there. And then from there, it goes to the next phase, which is vote. Anybody can come to the site and say, I think that's a great idea. And they vote, and they say, this is a good one, this is a good one. And at the end of every month, we take the idea that has the most votes, the most popular, and we bring it into a committee that says, okay, this has been voted. A lot of people in St. Louis seem to really want this. Let's figure out what would it cost to get this done? And are there other things? For instance, you don't just go out and paint a crosswalk on the city street. So who in the city do we need to talk to? Are there zoning and things like that? We put that package together, and then we put it back out there and we say, okay, you voted on this. Here's what it's going to cost. Who wants to throw in some money? It's tax deductible. You can throw in as little as $1, as much as you want. But, you know, in a sense, put your money where your mouth is. You said you wanted it, throw in $5, and let's see if we can make it happen. And I think one of the great things about the Magic House is that it shows that we don't have to just rely on individuals. So individuals did come. They gave $5, $10, $20, $25. But other corporations came in and said, I'd like to be part of it. I'd like to give more money. I'd like to help out.
I think for us, it was, you know, seeing that idea. It's something we've talked about, and we've been, you know, love to be able to do that. And so seeing that on their platform gave us the ability to say, other people want this too. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. So what kind of schedule are you on out there at the airport?
We are looking at opening in May of this year, so right before the traveling season for families. We're, you know, beginning that creation of the exhibit now.
So is everything, or all the from
The
what I've read
deals
about
are
it too,
done.
you're going to kind of like do like a mini airport theme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a play port, and it actually gives kids the chance to role play with an airport environment. So there'll be a rental car station, there'll be a little airport, there'll be a train. They'll actually get to pretend to be TSA members and go through with their luggage and really, you know.
So I might get patted down by a
By a
8-year-old.
5-year-old, it'd be great, yes.
Great.
But it will also have, you know, some information on some of the great things to do in St. Louis. So when they go to that rental car, there'll be maps to say, you know, hey, check out this area when you're here in St. Louis. So some fun ways to build
Brian,
that.
coming up in the second half of this show, we're going to talk to representatives from Arch Grants and Aisle 411. What's their story?
I think that what you're going to find in the second segment is that this spirit of everybody jumping in and helping out, so we're talking about crowdsourcing, crowdfunding civic ideas, I think you're going to see that exact same mentality and that fervor for making St. Louis better is happening in the startup community as well. We've got everything from fantastic entrepreneurs out there creating great companies to a wonderful support ecosystem of money and mentorship and services and everything that it takes to help those entrepreneurs do great things.
Okay, one thing before you go, I want you to mention, I have to I'm confessing my ignorance today. I didn't know much about the Magic House, and I didn't know much about, in fact, I'd heard about Rally St. Louis. I didn't really know anything about it until a little while back when I was asked to participate in an event that you guys sponsored.
Yes.
It was a fundraiser, and it was coincided with the premiere of Anchorman 2, the movie, down at the MX Theaters in St. Louis. Just briefly recap that.
I'll recap in a second, but let's jump to the punchline, which is you won the competition. I think this is...
It was a fluke.
Who knew? Who knew?
It was a fluke.
And it wasn't rigged in any way, shape, or form to make sure that we could get on your show later. But,
No, it wasn't.
But no, we're always doing fun things to try and keep awareness up, and the MX community downtown is an up-and-coming thing. Again, trying to highlight what's great and new in St. Louis. So there's this beautiful, wonderful theater downtown. Our friends at Cafe Press wanted to be part of this, so they created some t-shirts and buttons and things like that. And before the screening of the movie came out, we brought some local anchors to test your knowledge of St. Louis and see who came out on top. And I think that we had a resounding winner in our friend Steve.
Well, I don't know. I squeaked by, but I had some really tough competition. And anyway, I want to just acknowledge that that gave me the opportunity to donate $1,000 that you guys provided to a charity, and I chose the Sweet Potato Project, which is an organization in North St. Louis that gives kids up there an opportunity to learn marketing and business practices and get them a head start in a career. So anyway, we want to thank you for that.
No, that's great.
So.
Our friends at Cafe Press donated the money, so we were happy for that. But again, it's using a platform, so Rally gets to have a little fun and dress up like Anchorman and have a competition, but a wonderful organization like Sweet Potato Project gets to the real benefit.
That's Brian Cross, co-founder of Rally St. Louis. We've also been talking to Carrie Hutchcraft from Magic House. Thank you both for being part of the show today.
Thank you for having us.
And we'll continue with this right after this message.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
G-morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
Experience St. Louis.
I'm Steve Potter, and welcome back to City Corner. We're talking about, I guess, the business climate in St. Louis and how to make that better and a better place to live and work for everyone. To my immediate right, please welcome Nathan Pettyjohn from aisle 411. Also here is Jerry Schlichter from Arch Grants. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We discussed some interesting topics in the first part of this program about the business climate in St. Louis and how to make it a better place to live and work. And we talked about things like the impression people have of St. Louis, maybe the impressions we have of it ourselves. So let me start with you, Nathan. Do we have a healthy climate for business and life here?
I would say yes. I would say it's really transformed over the last 5 years. When we started our company, a lot of the organizations that exist today that help take an idea from a startup that you think could be amazing and turn it into an actual business, they didn't necessarily exist. And a lot of those have really transformed the whole opportunity that we have in St. Louis today.
Mm-hmm. Jerry, what do you think?
It's a very changed situation, I agree, in the last couple of years. The narrative nationally about St. Louis has been very negative, as we all know, about jobs and population loss and so on. But there's a new spirit and a new paradigm going on now, which is different from anything that's ever happened in the past. Arch Grants, which is an organization that we founded and started, is a not-for-profit, which is giving $50,000 grants to companies without taking a piece of equity in the company, both local companies and from out of town and internationally, and bringing them to St. Louis, putting them in an environment where they can have their best chance of success, and we're seeing great results. So it's exciting to see what's going on.
What about aisle 411? Tell us a little background on that.
Sure. Well, we started with a problem that we've probably all been in when let's put yourself in the position of shopping in a big Home Depot, let's say. How many times have you been frustrated wandering the aisles trying to find something?
Every time.
We've almost all been in that situation. And what aisle 411 does is allow you to use your mobile phone to search and map any product down to the section of an aisle that's located in that store. And it grew from an idea out of frustration that I had back in 2007. We started, as we like to call ourselves, two guys in a garage with an idea and the perseverance to make this all come to life. And so me and my co-founder, Matthew Kulig, here in St. Louis, said, we're going to do this. We literally founded the company in a St. Louis bread company. And we went out and we started talking to people in St. Louis.
You mean you just met there for coffee or whatever, right?
Well, we actually founded the company there, yeah. I mean, and so that was kind of our office to start with. And we started talking with people in the community, and there was this huge ecosystem starting to grow. And we've since now grown that idea from an idea to, we're now in 12,000 retail locations, including all the Home Depots and all the Walgreens stores. And in St. Louis, you can use it at Schnucks and Shop and Save. And along the way, there have been organizations that a lot of people may not know exist. Arch Grants, of course, is one of those that's doing a great job, but there's a group called Innovate Venture Mentoring Services. And these are people that donate their time to help get businesses off the ground. Then you've got organizations like I-10, which is an IT entrepreneur network, and they counsel companies on how to grow their business. You've got the St. Louis Archangels that put capital into companies. There's companies like Capital Innovators that are accelerators for these companies and invest in them, all the way up to venture capital, an organization called Cultivation Capital, which is an investor in aisle 411, has really allowed us to bring our dreams and turn it into a business.
So 20 or 30 years ago, your business might not have gotten off the ground. It just wouldn't have been feasible?
Well, as an entrepreneur, I would say yes, it would, because no matter
you'd
what,
figure
I
a
would
way.
bring it. But the reality is that it can be done in St. Louis. And for anyone out there that has an idea, get out there and it can be brought to life.
So Jerry, aisle 411, would that be the type of company that you might have funded with Arch Grants?
Absolutely. It's a great story, and the idea behind Arch Grants is to build companies from the ground floor into companies that can be successful, such as aisle 411, and also beyond that, to where's the next Express Scripts or Enterprise going to come from? We're not going to get companies transferring here with large Fortune 500 companies. We have to build from the ground up, the grassroots, into these companies that become successful. That's the idea behind Arch Grants, and the kind of energy that aisle 411 has developed and success they've developed is exactly what we hope to see with other companies.
Well, how does Arch Grants determine what kind of company to back? It seems like there must be a lot of people with their hands out.
Oh, there are. Arch Grants is not to circulate money, it's to bring in new money. And so we look at companies, startups that have the potential for national or international sales that can bring value-added benefit to St. Louis and grow here, build their companies, add value to the community. So that's what we look for in Arch Grants, and actually the applications for this year have just opened, so we're taking applications now for these $50,000 grants, plus free services such as legal and accounting, marketing, cloud computing, and other services, as well as being part of a community of entrepreneurs, which we see, and all the time we see examples of how this benefits all of the companies involved in sharing information and things like that.
Well, now you're an attorney by trade. That's your day
Right.
job.
That's my day job.
So
This is simply a civic interest for me.
explain that. Why?
Like a lot of other people, Steve, I'd like to see a different narrative about St. Louis. If we're going to compete in the global economy, we've got to do something different and something more than we've done in the past. We've historically had a lot of large companies here, and success was defined as going to work for them and 30 years later getting your gold watch at retirement. That still can happen, but that's not the paradigm of the global economy we're living in. We're going to have to build companies from the grassroots that can compete in that global economy and be successful. That's what generations of entrepreneurs did in St. Louis to found some of these great companies years ago. And now the idea is to start that process from the ground floor and build it again.
So Nathan, your company is relatively new. How long have you been around?
Since 2008.
Since 2008. So have you seen this sort of idea develop and grow?
Absolutely. In terms of our company?
Well, not just your company, but just overall, around town.
Absolutely. I mean, there is much more energy and passion, I think, and ideas being brought to life than I saw 5 years ago. And I think there's more opportunity. And each one of these organizations in St. Louis, what they're doing is they're solving a problem. And they said, hey, there was a problem here 10 years ago in St. Louis of getting companies off the ground. And at every stage of a company, you need capital and you need resources that are different at every stage of the life cycle. And we've started to really fill in all those gaps, from these mentoring organizations to Arch grants to angel funding to venture capital. And it's really incredible. And the great thing is that St. Louis is such a community-oriented metropolitan area that if one of these organizations can't help, it's very likely they know somebody else at the other stage of the life cycle that can help you.
And the one thing we always hear that is so important, and it is for any community, any city, is to keep young, smart, ambitious people in town. Don't just get your college degree here, stay here. And the sort of things we're talking about right now, is that doing the job?
It is. There's a sea change in the attitude of a lot of young people. And those of us who are of a certain age, such as me, the baby boomer generation, see a lot of our children or their friends going to other cities. But some of them are returning because there's opportunity. And one of the things we offer is the combination of that kind of opportunity for early stage businesses along with cool historic buildings that a lot of young people want to be in. They want to be in a walking environment, they want to be in around other bright young people, and we have this wealth of historic buildings available such that there's a real synergy and energy around this, the combination of technology and cool historic spaces, and that's attracting young people to St. Louis.
And Steve, I'll add to that. I'll say I'm a living example. So I actually moved to Silicon Valley and lived there for about a year because of some of the partnerships that we were doing with major technology companies. But Cultivation Capital, who invested in our venture capital round, said, hey, we want you back in St. Louis. And we moved that office back, and now we're all here.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. It's exciting. It's exciting for you guys individually. It's exciting for the city in the future. Nathan and Jerry, thank you so much for sharing your stories here today on City Corner.
Thank you.
We'll watch what's happening in the future.
Okay.
I'm Steve Potter. Thanks for being a part of it. We'll see you next time on City Corner.